Alright, this has to be the last one. I don't know if there's another tier list that I could possibly do anymore, but I've been seeing comments saying, do stadiums, make that your final tier list. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go ahead and rank Major League Baseball stadiums based on the tier list scale, S all the way down to D and F. I thought I was done with these, but, you know, I lied again. Big shout out to Jack W. I don't necessarily know how to pronounce your last name, but here's his Twitter. Go drop him a follow. He made this tier list for me when I asked for it on Twitter, so I wouldn't be able to do this video without him. As always, if you guys do enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like. That's the best way to show your support. Subscribe if you're new and you enjoy the content. We are getting so close. We're within 7,000 subs of reaching 100K. Goals by the end of the month. Hit that sub button. Help me get there sooner. Remember to get in the comment section down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my rankings. Tier lists seem to be pretty polarizing, so if you don't like what I have to say, let me know in the comments down below. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Link is in the description down below. And of course, if you want to buy some tickets to any sports games, make sure to head on over to SeatGeek and use the code Giraffe at checkout to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. So let's start ranking some stadiums. First one we got here, Marlins Park. Now, as a viewer, you know, it's pretty empty. The atmosphere is quiet. I'm taking a lot of different things into consideration, but it's a new stadium, and honestly, for me, I like the new stadiums most of the time. They're really nice. It's nice and indoors, air conditioned. I don't think it's going to go into the top tier here. I think Marlins Park's probably in the B range. Like, it's a new stadium. It's definitely nice. It lacks in the atmosphere, obviously, because no one goes there. The team's not very good. It's a huge park. It's a pitcher's park, without a doubt. But I think it's a nice-looking stadium, brand new. It's probably going to go in B. Citizens Bank Park. Now, it's in Philly, and you guys know what I think about Philadelphia. But the stadium itself is actually a really nice stadium. I'd probably put Citizens Bank Park in A tier. It is a bandbox, so if you like to see home runs, that's a great place to watch a game. And as much as I love to rip on the Phillies and the city of Philadelphia, their stadium itself is actually really nice. I've been to a game there. The fans are absolutely wild. I went there with my dad when I was younger, wearing our Mets stuff, and even then, didn't necessarily feel like I was very welcome. Not that they should be happy I'm there, but I don't know. Who picks a fight with like an 11-year-old? But regardless of the fans being crazy, Citizens Bank Park's a really nice stadium. I'll put it in A tier. Comerica Park, it's kind of one of the newer parks as well. I think it was built in the 2000s. I'd probably drop Comerica in B as well. Now, I've never been to Comerica, so I don't have any personal experience, but based on what I've seen, based on what the stadium looks like on TV, I think it's probably a nice stadium. Again, it's new. It's very hard for a new stadium to not be nice, so I'm gonna go drop it in B. Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field is an old stadium, but it goes into S tier. It's got some renovations over the last few years, which I think actually makes it even better. They've added the scoreboards. I think they made the bathrooms a little bit nicer because you used to just like go into a trough. But Wrigley Field is one of the classic stadiums in Major League Baseball. It's been around forever. You got the ivy out in the outfield. That's just an iconic look. It's a historic stadium. When I went there, it was an amazing experience. The city of Chicago was fantastic. Clearly S tier Wrigley Field. If you put it anywhere else besides S, you're starting problems. Oracle Park too. Now, I've never been here, but I don't know a single person that's ever said anything bad about Oracle Park. S tier. When you ask most players around the league, the guys I interviewed during spring training, this was one of their favorite stadiums. Fans, they say you gotta get to Oracle, or as it used to be called, AT&T. Like, without a doubt, it's considered as one of the best stadiums in the game. It's gotta go in S tier for sure. You got that big wall in right field, you got Triples Alley, you got the glove out in left field. I mean, it's just a really nice looking stadium out on the bay in San Francisco. S tier. Minute Maid Park. I went to Minute Maid Park and I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite parks that I've been to. Now, does it go into S tier? Probably not. I think I'm gonna drop it into A. It's an indoor stadium, which was one of the first I think that I went to, so that was pretty cool. I like that a lot of home runs are hit there. I love the little train track out in left field. Like, I think that's a really cool addition. Walking around the stadium felt really nice. I don't think I could put it in S tier because I don't know. That's like a very special spot. That's like a wow, this is an amazing stadium, but it's still good, so I'll drop it in A. Rogers Center in Toronto. Now that I think about it, this was the first indoor stadium that I ever went to for baseball. I think I was like maybe 8 to 12 years old when I went to Toronto. It was a really cool experience. The first time I ever got a ball at a game, so that was awesome. So I have good memories with it, but the stadium itself, I don't think it's on the same level as some of these others. So I'm probably gonna drop Rogers Center in B. Like, I do think it's a cool stadium. I think it's nice. You know what? Actually, I think I'm probably gonna drop it in C. When I think about all the stadiums now and what I really enjoy about them, the Rogers Center just doesn't necessarily have that. So it's pretty much just like average. Target Field. Never been to Target Field, so I can't really say too much about it, but from what I've heard, from what I've seen, it looks like a really nice stadium, especially on TV. I just like the whole setup there in Minnesota. I'm gonna drop Target Field in A tier. Again, a new stadium, and I'm sorry for you baseball purists who don't like new stadiums. Personally, for me, I love the new stadiums. Target Field, I think, is a better place to watch a game. Let's just be honest. A tier. Never been to Safeco Field. From what I've seen, it looks like a nice stadium. Again, another one that people talk about as a really nice baseball stadium around the league. A or B? That's really where it goes for me. I think I'm gonna go into B. It looks nice, don't get me wrong, and I hear everybody saying good things about it again, but to me, it just feels a little bit boring. There doesn't feel like there's anything particularly unique to me, and maybe that's just my ignorance of not knowing much about Safeco Field, or actually T-Mobile Park now, right? I think that's what it's called, but I'm gonna drop it in B. Nationals Park in Washington, average C. It was okay. I went there once when I was younger. It was a nice little stadium, brand new, obviously, but it just felt a little bit boring again. It felt like there was a lack of stuff inside the stadium. Of course, you're there to watch a baseball game, but you want to have some other things around the stadium when you get there early, a couple hours before the game, and I just didn't necessarily feel like they had that. Also, the atmosphere in Nationals Park, not great. I mean, they don't really have great fans. They tend to leave early because the train stops running after a certain time, which is just crazy. I'm gonna put it in C, nothing special. Citi Field, home to my New York Mets. You guys know where this is going. This is going in S tier, and honestly, a completely unbiased opinion, I think it is one of the best stadiums in all of baseball. Now, Queens itself, yeah, not a great place. The surrounding areas for Citi Field, not a great place. But when you go inside the actual stadium, the actual outside of the stadium, it's a really awesome stadium. There's so much stuff to do there. They've got amazing food in Citi Field. I think pretty much every seat in that ballpark is a really good view. You got the Pepsi porch out in right field, or it's actually called the Coca-Cola corner now, I think. Behind home plate's great. Everywhere in that stadium's a great place to sit. I think they did a really good job with it. I'm putting it S tier. It's one of my favorite stadiums in all baseball. Progressive Field. I went there when I was younger, have not been back since, and I was really young. That was the same time with the Wrigley Field trip. Now, I didn't actually see a game here. We went on a tour, so I don't necessarily remember a whole lot, so for that reason, I'm gonna put it in B. I like the outfield. I like that like big giant, the Great Wall of Cleveland or whatever they call that out in left field. It's definitely a nice stadium, but having visited it and not really remembering too much, I can't really put it above B, which is like above average. Tropicana. Tropicana goes in F tier for me. There's a whole lot of different reasons as to why Tropicana falls into the F tier. One, no one goes to games there. Two, the reason no one goes to games there is because it's like almost impossible to get there. There's only like one bridge in and one bridge out or something like that. Supposedly the traffic is absolutely immense, and that's for a stadium that has no people going to it. It's a terrible location. It looks terrible on TV. It's inside. It feels very dark. People are hitting the ceiling all the time on pop-ups. I mean, it just seems like a garbage stadium. F tier for Tropicana. Kauffman Stadium out in Kansas City. This is actually a stadium I want to go visit. It looks pretty cool. It's got the fountains out in the outfield, of course. I don't know, maybe it goes in A tier. I don't really know too much about it, so I think for that reason I'm gonna drop it in B, but like kind of towards the front, closer to A. Like I said, don't know too much about Kauffman Stadium. I'm sure they got great barbecue because of course Kansas City is known for that. It's just having not visited it and having not really heard too much about it because it is in Kansas City, not a lot of people go there. I think I'm gonna drop it in B. The Rangers Ballpark in Arlington, interesting stadium. I actually liked it, but I don't think it goes into one of the top tiers. I think it goes right into the C. One of the things that made it cool is that they had dollar dog night there, so you were paying $1 for hot dogs. And as a kid who likes some hot dogs, that was a deal for me. I think me and my dad had like 6 each because it was $1 hot dog. That doesn't happen in New York. Those prices never exist. So that was really cool. I like some of the stuff that they have around in the outfield. They have, of course, the grass berm in center field, which is a nice little change. And honestly, I think I had a great time there, but the stadium itself wasn't the reason why. I just love baseball. Otherwise, C tier. Fenway Park. I can't put Fenway Park in S tier. I have to put Fenway Park in A tier, and here's why. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the best stadiums in all baseball. But the reason it doesn't go into elite tier is because the time I went there, I sat in an obstructed seat, and supposedly there's like a ton of obstructed seating almost everywhere in the stadium. Like there's a lot of obstructive views, and when you go to a stadium that doesn't have a lot of seats and you're paying a lot of money for, you should be able to have a good experience of viewing. I know it's because it's old. I love the Green Monster. I love Fenway Park, but I can't put it in S tier when a lot of the seats in the stadium have obstructive view and you just can't watch the game properly. Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium's also going to go into A tier. Every time I watch this stadium on TV, I go, wow, this is a really nice ballpark. Honestly, actually, we're gonna switch it into S. I forgot how much I really like it when I watch it on TV. Everyone that's been there says it's an amazing stadium. It's got one of the best backdrops in all of baseball. You get to see the St. Louis Arch or whatever they call it. I'm not sure what it's called, but you see the arch in the background. You see the city of St. Louis. I think it's one of the nicest looking stadiums in all of baseball. I enjoy watching games on TV when they're played there. Something about that stadium just works. S tier for the Cardinals. PNC Park. I'm actually going to be out there August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to watch the Mets Pirates series, so if you're at any of those games, make sure you say what's up. So that'll be my first time visiting it, but similar to all the ones in S tier that I haven't visited, like Oracle and Busch Stadium, I've never heard anyone say anything bad about PNC. In fact, it's pretty much always between PNC and Oracle for people that have been to all the stadiums for what's their favorite. PNC, again, you get to see the bridge out in the background, you see the city of Pittsburgh, you got the river. It's a great setup. It looks like an amazing stadium. I'm so excited to go at the beginning of August. It just looks like a great place to watch a baseball game. S tier. SunTrust Park. I actually went there earlier in the season, saw Jason Vargas gets absolutely shelled by the Braves, and I enjoyed the stadium. Now, does it go into A tier for me? I don't think it goes into A tier. I think it goes into B. It's a very nice stadium. I enjoyed my time there. But when I think about some of the nicer stadiums I've been to, while SunTrust Park is really awesome, it's not one that I say you have to go to that stadium. You have to visit SunTrust Park. Now, the surrounding area outside of it, I don't necessarily remember what they call it, but there's a bunch of bars out there. That was a really cool area. I love that you can hang out there before the game. But inside the stadium itself, it just felt a little bit lacking. Great American Ballpark. It looks like a pretty decent stadium out in Cincinnati. I've never been, so my comments are a little bit ignorant because I've never been to it, but I don't feel like I ever hear people saying, oh, you need to go visit Cincinnati. It looks like a nice ballpark and everything, but so I plan on going to every single stadium in Major League Baseball. And a lot of the cities, I couldn't care less about what's actually going on there. I'm just going for the game. I don't feel like I ever get drawn to Great American Ballpark like right off the bat, like PNC, San Francisco. Those are some of the ones right off the bat that I've not been to where I go, how do I get to a game there? Cincinnati just doesn't do that for me. C tier. Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, of course, is nice. It's a new stadium. They modeled it off the old Yankee Stadium. I've seen probably 150, 200 plus games there. One of my best friends from middle school and high school, his dad worked for the Yankees, so I used to go to free games all the time with him. So I have seen everything there possibly is to see at Yankee Stadium. I had the best seats. I'd sit behind home plate. I've sat in the suites. I've sat everywhere. It's a great stadium. It's nice, but it's not one of the best. It's B tier. Don't get me wrong, the food is elite. The food at Yankee Stadium is absolutely fantastic. It just feels very corporate to me still. There's not a like family feel. I've been to so many games at Yankee Stadium. I'm just saying it like it is. It's just not one of the top in baseball. The Oakland Coliseum. I think this one goes in D. It doesn't go completely into F for me because it's like a football stadium. It's a baseball stadium. It's huge. I mean, the outfield's big. It's not a hitter's park. So much foul territory. You're so far away from the games. Out in the outfield, it feels like you're 100 feet up in the air. You're not close to the action. I've never been to a game there, but everything that I've seen and from stuff I've heard, it just doesn't seem like a great ballpark. Again, not one of the ones I'm eager to cross off my list. Like, I'm not like, man, I need to make it out to Oakland sometime soon. So for those reasons, I drop it in D. Coors Field. Coors Field, I think, is also going to go into B for me. Obviously, you go there, you're going to see a lot of runs. It's one of the best hitters parks in all of baseball. Obviously, the high altitude, huge outfield, massive. So you're going to see a ton of hits, a ton of runs, a ton of scoring. Everyone who's been there tells me it's a great stadium. I really have not heard anything bad about it. But again, it's just not one of these that I feel like I need to go to right now. So again, for those reasons, B. Camden Yards. Camden Yards is S tier. Now, when I went to the Baltimore Orioles game when I was younger, a little bit of a weird experience. We had some drunk fans around us acting a little inappropriate, and I was young. But besides that hiccup, Camden Yards is awesome. You've got like that walk out in the outfield, out in right field, or behind the gates. That was really cool. The stadium just has a really great baseball feel. You won't be able to understand what I'm saying unless you've been to a game there, because it doesn't matter how good or bad the Orioles are, a game at Camden Yards just feels like a great experience. So for that reason, S tier. I mean, everyone knows it's one of the best stadiums in baseball. Petco Park. I love Petco Park. I love San Diego. That's where I want to live when I'm all said and done with everything that I'm doing. I'm going to drop it in A tier. My biggest complaint with Petco Park, food. I don't feel like the food's necessarily elite there, but I've seen a couple games there. I've loved watching the game there. I love San Diego, the sun. I'm a little bit biased probably to the stadium because I love the city and the weather and everything so much. So it honestly might not even be an A tier. It might be worse. The whole combination of everything for me puts them in A. Chase Field out in Arizona. I enjoyed my time there. So for that reason, B. There's nothing particularly distinct that I was like, wow, this is amazing. That's why it doesn't go in A, but I liked it. It was an indoor stadium. I thought it was really cool. You have the pool out in right field, which is a nice little like gimmicky thing. I thought it was a really cool stadium. I enjoyed it. So for those reasons, it goes in B. Oh, Brewers fans, I'm sorry, but I have to rip on Miller Park again. I know when I do this, you don't like it. You tell me it is nice. But every time I watch the game on TV, I'm like, is it dark in there? Like, can they turn on the lights? What's going on? Not a huge fan of watching a game in Miller Park on TV. I'm sure in real life it's a different story, but having never been there, I have to go based on what I know, and from what I've seen and what I can tell, it just looks like a little bit of a weird stadium. It feels like you're inside like almost like a greenhouse or something. Every time I watch the game, I go, it looks uncomfortable. It looks like hot and humid in there. So I gotta drop it in C. I've been to Angel Stadium. It's pretty much average. Again, like I don't particularly remember anything being like, wow, Angel Stadium, amazing experience. It's got the rocks out in the outfield. I guess that's kind of cool. You go to the Angels game to watch Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, not necessarily for the stadium, so I drop it in C. Dodger Stadium as well. Ah, man, Dodger Stadium. It's got a little bit of history to it, but overall, I personally find it a little bit boring, so I'm gonna drop it in C. I've been to a game in Dodger Stadium as well. I had a great time. Like, all these baseball stadiums I go to, I love going to baseball games. Doesn't matter. I'm sure I'd even enjoy going to the Trop, but there's just nothing distinct besides the game itself that makes Dodger Stadium interesting to me. So, C tier. And then Guaranteed Rate Field. I went to a couple games last year when the Angels were playing the White Sox, when I met Jabari Blash, did the interview and everything, went on the field. That was an amazing experience, but Guaranteed Rate itself, the field, is pretty terrible. F tier. Out of all the stadiums I've ever visited, this has to be the worst one. I know branding with the colors of black and white are tough because it just doesn't ever get that feel. It's always going to be a little bit cold, and that's what it felt like in the stadium. I felt like it lacked personality. I felt like you wouldn't know you were walking into the White Sox stadium unless you were told, hey, the White Sox are playing here. So for that reason, F tier. So those are my thoughts on every stadium in Major League Baseball. I would love to know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. That's the best way to support the channel. Subscribe if you're new and you enjoy the content. If you love baseball, this is the place to be. Make sure to hit that sub button. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links in the description. And that's going to wrap up today's video. Tomorrow, we've got a banger talking about one player from every team that's going to be traded at the deadline. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, YouTube recommends you watch this video right here, as well as this is my most recent upload. So click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.